Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Technology Show, where our experts translate geek into regular speak. How do you feel about mixed reality versus virtual reality? And what are your thoughts? Gadgets or games? And where exactly are you on the battlefield of Windows versus Apple? Stay tuned for our special geek guests. And now, it's over to our Techsperts.
It's time for the Techknowledgy Show, Techknowledgy, K-N-O-W, where we translate geek
into regular speak
every week.
We're
going to actually make that official. I'm Brett Levy, and with me as always, Aryeh Sternberg. What's up?
Rain, cold,
dude,
misery.
I'm more bleak than you are.
You are.
My shoe split.
Holes in the shoe.
And when you walk in the rain with a split shoe.
And leaky umbrella.
And a leaky umbrella.
Crazy.
Shit. Anyway, so yeah, split shoe. There's a potential app of the week for me. Where to go for a split shoe and a leaky umbrella.com. No?
Yeah.
Well, I can warm up the insides because the app of the week this week is My Maccas. Dun dun dun. Now, it's not a new app. I have to do a confession. No, I'm not a McDonald's junkie. I do not order McDonald's so frequently that I need to have the app. And not that there's anything wrong with ordering McDonald's so frequently that you need to have the app. I think there was even movies made on that. What happened was my son phoned me and said to me, Dad, on the way home, please can you get me McDonald's? I'm really dying for McDonald's. So I said, sure. So I fired up the app. And lo and behold, it was very different to what I was expecting. Now, before that phone call, the last time I used the app, which was probably about 2 or 3 months ago, it was terrible. I'm just going to say that. Normally I talk about apps of the week that I like. This was a terrible app. It just was hard to use, hard to navigate, and it was like a unicorn just took a wand and waved, and now everything's pretty and easy and slick, except for you, Mr. Sternberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just say it. As far as my Note 7
Which
experience,
could be the problem.
Could be the problem. Actually, a Note 8.
Could be the problem.
Fail. No. Look, if you are going to be offering apps on multiple platforms, you should make sure they work. And right now, I went in to try to order some food, and
it didn't work.
Can't access the menu. So from what I've seen on Brett's app, it looks pretty cool. But for all you Android users out there, I can recommend to download the Hungry Jacks app, where you can check in and win and get free food. Whereas on the My Maccas app, all you can do is go in and get loyalty points. So back to the Maccas app.
Okay, so you do actually get free stuff on the Maccas app as well. But again, maybe McDonald's just realizes that iPhone users are just better eaters and deserve more. No, look, I don't know why it didn't work on your phone. The bottom line is that the UI and the UX is what made me choose this app, because we talk about that all the time.
Yep.
I opened the app expecting to go through the challenges I had previously, and they weren't there. It's slick, it glides, it's intuitive. It is so easy to go through a transaction. Yes, I know you didn't get to see it. You just have to trust me on this one, and I know you trust me, so you have to trust me on this one. When you check out, it gives you a number. You walk in, you look on the screen, the number appears, you take your stuff and you go. It's just really, really easy. Maybe we're going to have to do a McDonald's versus Hungry Jack's app. There's the challenge for next week.
Not even worth it, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
My Maccas app, why would I download it? If I ate at McDonald's, which I don't, but if I did,
yeah.
First order, 25% off, and whenever you order, skip the line.
What's
so
that?
if you are hungry, any order you're ordering,
what are you talking about
now? My Maccas.
Oh, okay.
My Maccas app, you can skip the line.
Yeah.
Burger King,
they call it
Hungry
Hungry
Jack's
Jack.
here, there's no ordering. You can go online and see the menu, and they actually push you to a browser, so it's no contest. My Maccas, skip the line. My Maccas app, customize any burger, not just on the touchscreen, but from the app you can actually customize any of your orders.
Yeah.
Add extra patties.
Well, you saw it could add
special
bacon
sauces
to a cheeseburger,
exactly,
which is
so
not normal.
Starting with whatever is your basic favorite burger, and if it is a cheeseburger, you can add all those little fixins that you couldn't necessarily get in the shop, and they wouldn't necessarily know what to do in the shop. You're standing in line, everyone's busy complaining. You like yours without mustard, people are
For
going to
someone
complain.
that doesn't eat McDonald's, you've got a lot of experience in this, man.
I'm looking at the app and I'm saying, this is why would you use it, right? Go in, there's a loyalty section that actually looks like a loyalty card. Everyone's used to having punch stamps, right?
Yeah.
Get one, stamp
I think
it,
that's
get
for
two,
the coffee, right? On the McCafe?
And that's right there in front of you. You can see it. You can see
Yep.
what you've earned. So, like you said, the usability, it is made for consumers.
Correct.
And whoever did the usability testing went and said, consumer, what do you want?
Correct.
And who is the consumer? This is not made for technophiles.
100%, and that's why I chose it. It doesn't even matter what the product is.
Nope.
I'm talking purely about the app.
Absolutely.
And if you are going to order McDonald's, then this is the way to do it.
Just make sure you have an iPhone.
Or an iPad.
Yeah.
App of the week. Junk.
It's going to get a 3.5 from me. When you fix it for Android, I'll give you a 4.5.
Okay. Well, I wasn't the customer, and my son loves McDonald's, and I have to give it also at least a 4.5 out of 5 on the basis that it did make my life easy. I didn't have to stand in the queue. Not that you do at fast food places. I mean, let's be honest, you've got to be really impatient to have to be in and out that quickly. But anyway, so my Mac is available on iPhone, definitely, and maybe on Android. Not sure. It's time for Screens with a Z. Z. Easy. So last week I kind of did most of the playing and talking about the Alcatel V3. I think it's over to you this time. You did some homework this week and got to play with some shiny toys.
I did.
What did you play with?
Well, my good friend William Vargas, who is the head of programmatic at Daily Mail, shout out, he bought a brand new ASUS ChromeBook Flip, 12.5-inch touchscreen Chromebook. And I think you and I have spoken about this before, and I think we'll do an A/B split against Chrome OS versus Apple. Chrome OS versus...
Okay, so not to take away from the Chromebook.
I know what you're going to say.
About now. No. I'm happy to try Chromebook out.
No, I know what you're about to say. Though.
What am I going to say? Tell me.
You can use it offline. I used every single app
no,
offline.
it's not that.
Okay.
No. I know that's changed. You corrected me.
That's completely changed,
you checked me a couple of months ago. I think they changed that.
Yeah, it was powerful.
Why I don't think we can do a fair comparison, and I'm even going to bring Microsoft Windows into this. Windows and OS, as in Microsoft and Apple, are still far more powerful operating systems than Chrome OS now. So I don't know if that's a fair comparison now. In a year's time, I'd like to do that comparison. You know what I mean? Because although they've done the big leap and brought everything offline or made it available offline, those books themselves, the units, the hardware, they don't have the processing power to match what the other devices do. But tell us, you reviewed it.
So yes and no.
Okay.
That's changing. The processing power that they're packing into the Chromebooks is actually increasing massively. So this one...
Hence what I'm saying, a year.
4 gigs of RAM, 8 gigs of RAM, up to 16 gigs of RAM.
What did you look at? Which one has he got?
To be honest, I didn't check.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just looking at... for a Chromebook, for why Chromebook? We've spoken before about Chromebooks in education.
Let's do it again for those people that don't listen to every show, every word, note for note, and make notes.
Every week.
And get tattoos.
Why Chromebook? It's used for flexibility. It's used for quick, easy access, like the Mac line of products. Instant on. Click the button, you're in, right? Access to pretty much everything you need from an entertainment perspective, whether it's Netflix or YouTube or anything you're going to watch or read.
But it's appy though, right? You're using apps like inverted commas widgets. It is to access all of them. It's almost
kind of. It feels like a.
Does it feel like Android?
It feels like no, not at all. It feels like a native experience.
Okay.
So it is running. You got things are running in the Chrome browser. Then you've got Chrome apps.
Okay.
That sit on the desktop.
Okay.
And for a lot of the apps, if you are downloading like more phone specific Android experiences, you are going to get that phone experience, and it'll even render on the screen in the phone form factor.
Okay, well, that's quite cool.
Yeah, like a window.
That's cool.
Which is kind of neat because it actually allows you to stack experiences, where on Windows or Mac, you actually have to change your window sizes or drag it to a corner and get it fixed.
Apple iOS no, OS Mojave. How do you pronounce that desert? Mojave? Mojave. Watch it coming soon, mate.
Yeah. No, I've seen it. Look,
let's talk about the hardware, though.
Sure.
Because, I mean, Chrome OS is a discussion all on its own.
Light, beautiful screen, touch screen. It's silver. It weighs 2.1 kilograms. So
I'm
it's
trying to
pretty
think,
light.
how does that compare to yours and mine? Because ours are pretty similar. If you take your cover off, it's
about the same.
It is about the same.
It's
Yeah,
about the
2
same.
kgs I think is what a MacBook
Yep.
Air/Pro is going.
Yep. Backlit keyboard.
Why though? Why is it so heavy? No, I'm just thinking about it.
Battery.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you're right. Actually, it's the same. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
carry on.
and I think that's really where it kills it. You're talking like 12 hours of battery.
Okay.
Right.
That's sick.
You're on like all the time, and
Yeah, that's sick.
you're not going to run out of it. And so for people that are going between, let's say Cronulla in the city, you've got a 45-minute to an hour to an hour and a half
They can just
train
pump
ride. Just sit there with it, and if you
Yeah.
want to have that experience, also the portability of Office 365, or if you're using
Okay, but
Google
there
Apps.
you need connectivity, right?
No,
So
You
Office
can work
365
offline.
you can take offline.
work offline on the Chrome app, offline.
Okay.
So you can create content, edit content, upload and download when you get online.
I don't want to go into the OS side of it because I mean this is screens, not an A and B split, and I definitely think we need to put some time together for Chrome OS because I've always loved the concept of the Chromebook for what it can and can't do. How's the hardware build? How is if it's a touchscreen, how receptive? Because you work on a touchscreen, I don't work on a touchscreen, so I got nothing to compare it against. That's why it's better you review it.
Totally. So it's ASUS. It's not just some
brand.
no-name company, right?
Yeah.
You got HP Chromebooks. You've got most of the brand names building Chromebooks. It's solid. And
ports? What ports does it have? Because that's my
Ports.
bugbear on ports on mobility at the moment. Did you notice? Like where they're normal USBs,
two USB-Cs.
Cs as well,
Yep.
same as
And,
what Apple's
and a
doing.
Lightning port, yeah.
I see. I
Yeah.
hate that shit.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's
It's like form factor now, though, right? It's
Yep.
becoming form factor.
It is. Google said USB-C is going to be the next, and I'm sitting there with my Pixel XL, and I'm just like, can somebody else get some USB-C so I can
Yeah.
find someone with a cord that I can borrow to charge?
But now they're there.
Yeah, they are.
Thanks, Apple.
We've done the USB-C discussion about how it's multi-use, etc. You can flip it all the way around, so you've got the screen on one
I was
end.
about to
and
ask you why you
keyboard
called it a
on the
flip.
back.
So it becomes almost
Tablet-y,
tablety, but they don't
tablet-esque.
disconnect.
They don't disconnect, and I personally do not like that form factor.
Okay.
Because it disables the keyboard, but
Yeah,
it's
of
like
course,
you're
it's
holding
behind
it.
you.
Yeah. If you do turn it around and you want to actually have that as a viewing capability, like sitting on your desk, and you, for some reason, flip it.
Do you know
back.
why you can't? Because all the hardware is sitting below the keys, right? That's why you can't disconnect the screen.
Yeah,
It's not like your machine, like the Surface, where the hardware is in the screen and not the keyboard.
That's
So
right.
that they got wrong.
Well, there are a few Chromebooks that can do that.
Yeah. And then the golden question, of course, is price, because that's what the determining is. As sexy as 12 hours battery is,
Yeah, this is 8 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigs onboard storage. It's nearly $800 on Kogan.
okay, so let's stop there for a second. 32 gigs, my cell phone has more than that. So
Yeah, of
straight
course.
away, that's...
It does. It has a SD card.
Yeah, but I don't want to carry an SD card. So
Yeah,
it has the SD card
yeah,
slot.
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, so we'll give them that, but that's a bus which runs slower. So anyway, but okay, so it's expandable, but you have to pay for that, right? So you got to pay money. $800. You can pick up a MacBook Air and an entry-level Surface, I think, for about $1,200. So to buy a decent, and that would be a 128 gig on
Yep.
both your Factor and Air. So to buy a decent SD card, a micro SD card, you're probably looking at $200 or $300.
Yep.
To another 100 gigs, right?
It is. Now,
so
here's the flip, though. HP Chromebook education version, 4 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage. So this is a higher-end piece of kit, right? And, it's that mix between, like, my mate Will, he wanted to have a decent piece of equipment that's not going to fall apart and that he can actually work on. I haven't seen the lower-end ones, and I think we definitely should do some.
I think we need to.
playing
Maybe we're going
around.
to spend a day and play it. But I would have expected a better price point on a Chromebook. Even though it is ASUS,
Chromebooks get up there, man, and this is where I think it's really worth taking some time playing with it, because I think your perceptions of what you can and cannot do with it, and what you actually can and cannot do,
Challenge accepted.
Challenge thrown. Anyway,
Cool.
moving on. Screens with a Z.
And if you were going to rate it, I know you haven't played with a lot of Chromebooks, but
Mm.
just for what it is, look-wise, hardware-wise, touch, feel,
For 90% of what I do on the computer that's outside the graphic design stuff I do, it could do everything that I do.
okay, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely high. And
Would you give up your Surface for it?
I would.
Would you?
Yeah.
Really?
I
Wow.
My beef with the Surface when we talk about the new day is the form factor is that it's not a laptop.
Yeah.
It's you
That's
have
what the
to,
new Surface
yeah,
book was all
Surface
about.
book and the Surface Surface laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Microsoft laptop.
Cool.
Sweet.
Screens with a Z.
Moving into that sweet spot that nobody can deny is unbelievably awesome. What is it, Brett?
It's the A and B split test.
It's it.
Boing.
So this is we've gone off the usual track a little bit, although I think any of our listeners can fall into one of these two spots. And this time we are going to do an Aryeh versus Brett, although neither of us actually can.
That's not too fair.
We both sit in both camps. I am going to take the nerd.
And I'm going to be a geek.
Yep, nerd versus
Nerds
geek.
versus geeks.
Now
Now, we're not talking about the sweets
No.
nerds, right? And I think there actually is a geeks as well.
there is.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just define a general opinion of what a nerd. What's a nerd?
So my understanding of a nerd.
Besides the emoji with the black
No.
glasses and the tape.
My understanding of a
Hey,
nerd.
Cam, where's your tape on your glasses, mate?
He's Cam's not a nerd. Nerds typically are seen to be hyper intellectuals.
Yes.
Very, very well read, very, very knowledgeable to the point of overachievement and always knowing answers to everything. You know, they're the library guys.
Yes.
And, you know, rented nerds, they're back there with their glasses
Their
on.
glasses
and
and
tape
the plaster and the
glasses.
tape, yeah.
Versus geeks.
So geeks are people that are not quite far removed from nerds, with the exception that they develop all the cool apps and the cool tech and that. So they're not the library type and the academic type necessarily.
Obsessed with cool.
And they build all our cool stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, every single CEO of every single app and success company out there is probably a geek.
Yep.
And I'm including the Elon Musks. I'm including the Zuckerbergs. No, he's just an idiot.
So
and I'm including all these other people.
One could say, and this is where there's that Venn diagram of crossover, that, you know, Zuckerberg went to Harvard.
Yeah,
Nerd.
but that's what I said. It's like the one division of the nerd. The nerd that
Yeah.
evolved still has the brain, but
Yep.
but instead of focusing on trying to get laid, focused on trying to build that next app that would get him laid by default from the billions that he gets. I mean, if you take Silicon Valley, the TV show, those guys are geeks. They cool. They're not cool like a sports person cool, but they're cool because they're building the coolest stuff in Silicon Valley.
So 5 years ago, nerds would be math studies. They would be biochemistry,
Library.
science,
Yeah.
library, you know, chemistry, going into these sort of things. And what's happened is that, you know, with all of the melding and the rapid advancement, almost this hyper just
It's a nerd on
development.
steroids.
It's a nerd on steroids, but that whole thing of, you know, the geek being more, you know, up on things and sort of on the chat rooms and the chat boards and coders and developers, this is all merging because of,
Yeah.
you know, biochemistry and, you know, biohacking and all these sorts of things. And, you know, nerds and geeks have sort of went from cool to not cool and back into cool. Dweebs? Nah.
We'll leave them. In fact, you know what? I mean, we have to wrap up the A and B, but here's a good idea. Okay, so the nerds, and this is why you're definitely not a nerd. The nerds were before tech. I mean, they were those geeky guys. Okay, but I think it's a case if you're going to go out there to call someone something, if you call them a nerd, it's probably offensive.
Yep.
If you call someone a geek, it's actually quite complimentary, because the geeks are now the new superstars.
Yep.
In business and everything. So being horrible, nerd. Being cool, geek. And I'm definitely quite happy if someone calls me a geek. Nerd, no, I might get upset.
Yep.
It's time for XR, and I don't have to apologize for being a fanboy. And we started off talking about Chrome and all those good things, But I just have to say that I'd like to rename this to the Apple is Awesome section. But
Whatever.
we'll probably have to keep it as XR.
Good luck.
But the Apple is Awesome section today, my AR is pretty much all about the Apple is Awesome section. So unless you were living under a rock or not following our show or anything like that, you then would know that WWDC 2018 was on 2 days ago, which is the Worldwide Developers Conference in America for Apple. 6,000 really lucky people get the ticket to go over and go and attend the show live, and millions watch it globally. I googled it. What's Google's I/O? They call theirs I/O. I think that was about 2 months ago. So it's basically
like 2 weeks ago, man.
No, was it?
Yeah,
Was I/O 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was very recent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, time flies when you're having fun. But this is more about software. This is not about shiny gadgets or gizmos. Every now and then they throw a gizmo, but this was purely about the updates to OS, watchOS, tvOS, iOS, etc. So I'm going to kick it off with a mention to Adobe. So Adobe introduced Project Aero, which now lets you create in Adobe. So like any of the normal Adobe Photoshop or InDesign or any of the programs that designers use, they own Autodesk. The drawing, like CAD and all that, isn't that part of Adobe Suite now as well? No, I don't know, but I'm sure they've got some form of technical drawing, whatever. So any of the Adobe products, and then view in AR. That's what Project Aero is. So you've designed up a shop front or a building or whatever it is, and you stand there with your client and you just project it and they can actually see it in AR.
I think
don't know.
Autodesk is actually owned by Autodesk. I don't see Adobe on here, but yeah.
All right. Well, and they've definitely got some form of technical plan. I said I don't do it, so I don't know. I don't work in those programs. Have you got anything in AR?
I do.
Otherwise, it's just going to be the Apple show.
No, definitely the Apple show. Everyone kind of laughs at Snapchat and sort of says, "These guys Snapchat, blah blah blah." They're doing some cool stuff.
They are. Remember, we mentioned that a couple of weeks ago that it's not as young as we thought.
Totally. So a couple things Snapchat has done. They have an AR lens in its carousel that reacts to sound. So when you actually have the AR, whatever the if you see yourself and you've got a mask on, you're wearing ears. If there's sound coming around the room, the ears on the head or whatever it is will actually react to the sounds.
That's like a little bit of a Shazam type play.
It is.
Shazam went to AR. AR is now going to sound.
Yep.
But we talk about sound being AR, right?
Totally. And this is in the augmented side of things. I think that they're actually thinking maybe producing actual physical ears, like bunny ears or rabbit ears or something that you can actually wear. And they will react to sound and sync with your app.
Instead of their funny spectacle things.
Yep. The other side is Snapchat released body tracking, which allows for movement and syncing any of the augmented reality skins onto your body that tracks with your body, which is pretty cool. And that also includes objects that can go behind you and move in and out of buildings. So if you're outdoors and there's a whale flying through the sky, it will go behind buildings behind you.
So it actually puts the physical objects in front of the AR. That's quite cool.
So
that's always a problem with AR. As soon as the physical gets there, you lose it.
And then the last one is hand tracking, which Coors Light incorporated into a promotion recently.
Tracking how quickly you can get your hand from your tin to your mouth.
Hand tracking, finger tracking, movement tracking, so that when you do different gestures, like when you open your mouth sometimes in some of the animations, like I did one last night where a rainbow comes out of your mouth.
Okay.
Like you're barfing rainbows, so same things with your hands, so you can gesticulate.
I think Jeff and maybe Chris last night were barfing other things and they weren't rainbows.
God,
but shout out to the boys. I have to, look, I did confess before I even started this was going to be Apple. I have to make a special mention to Martin Sanders and his team from Lego. Now, I've always loved Lego. I grew up with Lego. I still love Lego. But what they did is they did a demo showing the new AR Kit 2. So the whole thing with the launch of AR last night was all about what AR Kit 2.0 can do or will do for us.
Yep.
So they built, or they'd already pre-built, they built this like little house, looked like a city building, and they put it on the table. And then he held up his iPad and it all came to life. It animated around the object, so that's not really exciting. That's using it as a marker, no biggie. Then one of his colleagues came on the stage and he picked up his iPad, and then they started adding to this building.
Yep.
It's like if you've only bought the one building, you can add all the other buildings and the roads, and you can make things move up and down. You can open the buildings. But what I was getting to is actually in fact they say you can go up to 4 people can engage via the same AR experience. And that's never been able to have been done before successfully. No, I know you're going to say Android's done it with Core.
Yeah, Google did announce this 2 weeks ago, but anyway.
Yeah, but again,
I know you love Apple. It's all right.
It's an Apple. It works better on the Apple environment for the simple reason that you can't get it for Lego yet.
Says an Apple lover.
Well,
I love Legos.
You can't get it for Core yet.
I watched the demo. It's awesome. You can get it for Core now. Actually, it is available. Yeah. However, the Apple experience is better. The Apple technology is better. The Apple hardware is
just
better.
keep going, man.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. However, it isn't just Apple doing it.
No, I know.
You got to say that.
Yeah. I'm just glad to see that they're finally using they bought Mateo a couple of years ago, and we're starting to see that coming through because they're talking about the chip, about the silicone.
Yep.
They're actually getting the chipset to do the work as opposed to apps. You got something on there?
No, I was just wondering where you are. A local. So the
local's good.
ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, created its first AR app focused on the International Space Station.
Yes, I saw
ISS.
that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's based on the network's Back to Earth series, and it has 3 activities you can do. There's a mini game that uses lasers to defend the ISS from space debris. You can assemble the station and learn how different parts work, and then there's also an interactive 3D model of Jupiter, the planet. But very cool. Kudos to ABC. Shout out.
I don't know if they're a bit late to the party though, right? I mean, they should have been doing this a while ago, but they've done it at least. The last thing I want to mention when it comes to AR and Apple is the announcement of USD-Z, or Z, it's American, which is a new file format. Now, what the file format does, I think it stands for Universal Scene Description. I don't know what the Z is, but that's what the acronym is. They developed it with Pixar, and the thinking was that if you can create cool AR tech and designs. Now, we've been talking about web AR, which is where this would kind of come into play. So if you see, they've created like a little logo. Remember when AR first started, you saw the AR and the plus sign, and you knew to look that there was augmented content. What this does is it lets you actually engage with the content on what seems to be a flat experience. So if there's a picture of a fish swimming in a pond, and it's got the logo, you tap it, you bring it up, and you can now rotate it. You can take it into an augmented.
That's really cool.
But the demo that they did was actually with Fender, as in the guitars. So you go online to Fender's shop, you see a red Fender, you can now project it into life size in your real, so you could actually see and look behind it and that of what it looks like. So again, it's more about giving you that 360 package in an augmented experience of where it would be in your real world. So if you go back to IKEA, they would be perfect users of this USD-Z, because now not only could you see the couch or the chair in your environment, but you could move around it and it would be in scale, which I thought was it's a different play. I think WebR will negate any of this, and maybe it's just Apple specific. It might be a way to lock content and monetize, hence Pixar's involved. I don't know. We have to wait and see. But they did announce it, and other was mentionable.
Let's see how it's different than what's being done now. I mean, I've shown you the demos of AR Core on my phone where it scans the floor or scans the space, and it'll put something in that space. Look, I've got tons of VR news. I'm gonna do one.
Okay.
Researchers from Stony Brook University, NVIDIA, and Adobe
have
developed a technique for making VR spaces less limited, which means basically in a space perspective. So if you have a 3 square meter space, you can actually make it into 9 square meters simply by using...
Dude, you converted to metrics for the listeners, man, because that was all in feet and inches, that article.
No.
Nice.
So there is a breakthrough technology called dynamic saccadic redirection. And it works on the natural phenomenon in human vision called saccades. It's SACCADES.
So medical. There's the nerd, right?
There's
nerd.
To translate it, saccades are the quick darting moves the eye makes unconsciously a few times per second. So your brain filters out and suppresses these movements. And what they can do is by looking at that and tracking your eyes, you can actually use that to get rid of motion sickness and increase the space that your brain thinks is there.
Cool.
And so it allows you to actually have more.
And it goes back towards that sickness thing as well, which is what we talk about all the time.
Well, also that 3x3 square meter limitation of the tethered version of the HTC Vive, which is soon to be gone with the Vive
The Focus. Yeah.
That's right.
I have to give a shout out because he's local, not because of this. So Oculus have just launched Venues. Now Venues is very similar to Seek. We've spoken about that before, where you can now go and be in a live experience. The reason why I'm making mention of it is it's the first one that they've done, and they did it with Vance Joy, which is a local.
Where did they do it?
They did in America,
Colorado,
in Colorado, man.
Red
that's
Rocks,
why I want to mention
Red Rocks Amphitheater in the house.
So that's your hometown.
That's it.
It's Vance or Vance
Joy.
Joy, who's a local Aussie boy.
Yep.
So yeah, good to them, man. And you can, you part of that. It's just moving closer to that all-inclusive. I'm going to springboard that into it because it's happening next week. But the BBC is doing the same type of thing. They're going to broadcast the World Cup soccer, where you could be sitting in a box or behind the goals, so you'll be able to watch the game from where you would want to be able to watch it without being there.
And that's on Venues, right?
Yeah.
Now, the coolest thing that I thought on Venues, and what really kind of brings in, that...
Oh, sorry, no, it's not on Venues. It's on BBC's own app.
Okay,
it's
so
just the same concept of
totally.
the live.
So the live, what makes a difference at Venues is that you could actually add people as Oculus friends, and you could see other viewers. So the whole concert was occupied by avatars.
Yeah.
So when you look around in the VR space, I just looked around, almost lost the microphone. You can actually see other people as their avatars, and you can add people as friends.
That's right, I left that out.
And create that community experience.
And that's Facebook, right?
It's Facebook, and this is where you get into that, usability question of, will people stay in a space? Like, what do I get beyond just being at a 360 camera at an event?
Yeah.
And it's that community experience, to be able to have that conversation, watch the concert, turn the volume down of the concert, and actually have a conversation
with the
by
person
voice
next
with
to
the
you.
person next to you. That
well, now you can
crossing
actually
boundaries.
find your mate. Have you ever been to a concert? It's like, I'll see you at the beer tent, man.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
beer tent and where?
Absolutely.
You can't get them. You can't phone them because of connectivity.
Super cool.
So very cool stuff, dude. We have to move on because we've got guests. We've got
she's sitting there waiting very patiently.
Cool. So that's XR, also known as Apple is awesome.
Extended reality, and Android's cool too. We've come to the tail end of the show. It's time for Guest of the
say
Week.
It isn't so.
It is.
Okay.
It is. And this week I wanted to bring on a longtime friend who I've known pretty much since I landed in Australia 7 years ago. I think it was 7 years.
And she's still friends with you.
She's still, yeah, exactly. Well, she hasn't seen me in a while, so that's probably why. But no. Claudia, tell us who are you and what do you do and all that fun stuff.
Oh, wow. Hi, everybody. Thrown right up in the deep end of, tell us everything about you. First of all, I'll apologize for the speed of my American accent. It's been with me for a while, and it just sometimes gets ahead of me. So apologies, everybody out there. But my name is Claudia. Claudia Barriga-Larrivere, which nobody ever can say. CBL is fine, you guys.
CBL.
Yes. So exercise that. And I'm head of people at BlueChilli.
I love that designation. I
Yep.
have to just jump in before we even go to BlueChilli. Head of people. Head of people.
I'm head of people at BlueChilli, which is super fun, but also a very hard gig because we do hard things.
Okay, so let's talk about what BlueChilli is first.
Awesome.
What is BlueChilli? And I think that, just to set it off, I really thought Claudia would be a great person to have on the show, because there's just been this explosion around accelerators and shared workplaces and startups and all these things. And while a lot of our listeners live in that space, Claudia has been in the center of that from day dot. So tell us a bit more about what BlueChilli is and what brought you there.
Great. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. BlueChilli is, I think, one of Australia's longest serving incubators now, but the biggest UVP, user value, the unique value proposition for BlueChilli is when we build the thing. So we actually act as a co-founder on the tech side.
Okay.
So whereas a lot of other accelerators or incubators in the space work really great for people who have the tech or can code or can get that kind of tech scalability off the ground right away, or people who aren't necessarily first-time founders, BlueChilli does cover that space. And we found that about anywhere from 80 to 95% of founders out there are actually limited by tech. So what we do is make 4 big promises to founders, and that's articulating those promises has been a big work of not only kind of like my team, but across the leadership and executive team over the last 6 months. So the first one is, we'll get you your first investment, right? Which is one of the reasons why most startups and founders fail over the first 6 months to a year of startup life.
I'm just chuckling because having been in startups before, I know.
Gosh.
Brett and I, we nearly went down that route, but we clawed our way through.
The second promise is we build your tech, and that is across. So as a startup founder, you go through the accelerator program, and we'll give you a pod for the first 6 months. We'll go through a whole bunch of sprints and all of that, and at the end you will come out with an investable, scalable product that is attached to a business plan. So the second thing is tech. The third one is traction. We partner with a lot of corporates depending on the program and the narrative of the program, which is great. My first day was actually the day She started. So we had like ANZ and MYOB and SunSuper, and there was a lot of that like financial skew in a lot of the startups. So if you're, for example, a micro-saving superannuation app, right? I think Longevity, one of our original She startups was that. So is SunSuper the best one to give you traction and give you a bunch of customers right away? Is ANZ a best bet? So we do that partnership and for you, which is awesome also.
I mean, basically you fitting the culture to the company as well as the potential investors.
Yeah.
Not just like, let's see what happens and who's got the biggest wallet.
And then just hope for the best, which is not really awesome. But and then the fourth one, which also actually ties up very neatly with what you just said around like culture and all, that is the network part of it, which is establishing your first team. And that could include anything from like, are you ready to do your own tech, or do you need to like struggle a little bit along? Is what you need not necessarily a bunch of developers. Perhaps you need business development, and you can offshore your tech. So there's all of these things that we take into consideration, and that started with all of this research around like what makes a startup fail and what makes a founder fail, but also not want to do it again. Which is kind of like that attrition that we are trying to. We work almost exclusively with first-time founders. There's awesome programs out there, and I'm happy to name a few, but there's awesome programs out there that are about like, we'll surround you with awesome mentors and some networking opportunities and all of that, and perhaps some tools. And for a lot of people who have done this 100 times, they don't need to sit through a master class of how to pitch, or this is what a sophisticated investor is. So that's kind of both ends of the value proposition for BlueChilli.
You mentioned She Starts.
She starts with me every day I walk into the door at home.
I'm assuming that's not what you're talking about.
I'm not clear. Was that a pun? An attempt?
Brett, you listen to the show more, you get Brett's humor.
Yeah. English is my second language, so I struggle sometimes.
She Starts is, I'm assuming, female founders.
Yes.
Yep.
So She Starts is very close to my heart, not only because I started the day that was launched, but also because it's a big passion of mine. I'm a diversity and inclusion expert, and that's a lot of part of what I bring into BlueChilli. But the important thing for me, and I think for everybody who's surrounded around She Starts as part of the boot camp and an advisor to the tech, and this is the brainchild, for lack of a better term, of Nicole Hazel, who's the program director for She Starts.
Okay.
And we at BlueChilli, and I've kind of not only worked with BlueChilli, but I alongside them for many years. Their big crazy idea was, let's have 100 startups by 2016, which they actually surpassed in that as I was coming in, which is awesome. But then it was like, okay, so do we just count the logos on the wall? What does that mean? And yes, they achieved it, and it was hard. But then at the other end, it's like, so what is the value and the impact these startups have actually made? So in conjunction of that, we've changed the business model a few times. There's an awesome blog post. Sebastian Eckersley-Maston, who's my boss and CEO, has written about it, all the iterations around BlueChilli in terms of the business model, how we help founders. So it kind of coincided really, really nicely in terms of like the last iteration, the current one, and I think the best one in terms of service, of a culture of service.
Is this where head of people comes into it?
It's a lot of where head of people comes from in terms of like articulating what these promises are for our team particularly, and people coming into BlueChilli. So in this sense, what we've discovered is that this is easier on both the founder and the company if we work in cohorts.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and these cohorts have to have a very specific narrative around them to attract founders with a similar thread, right? So in this case, She Starts was, what is the big mission that we want to have at the other end of this? And it was, let's change the face of startups so that if you're a bro with a hoodie and a logo t-shirt, that's awesome. But what if other people, and I realize I'm surrounded by them at this booth, which is a little intimidating, I'm the only one in heels. But also, so that you're not always the only lady in heels in the room, or the only dude in heels in the room.
Yeah.
Or
I was going to say there's some dudes in heels in the room as well.
And it's amazing to see them, you know what? And when one of the things that I always kind of carry as a badge of honor, I'm diversity bingo, right? I'm 5 feet tall, I'm an immigrant, I'm Latin American, I don't, like, English is not my first language, I'm a woman of color, and I work in tech. So there's all of these layers. None of these should be barriers of entry for me to start a tech business. Definitely. So She Starts. We're on the second round, just wrapped up for She Starts. So we've now put, so the first one was 9, and I think this round was 8 founders through that. And they're all doing some amazing things, which is kind of creepy in the sense of it gives me goosebumps, the fact that nobody's tapped into this before. Like, all of these things would have fallen through the cracks. And I love capitalism. Love it.
Me too.
All about it.
I say it all the time.
So, you know, if you don't care about equality, inclusion, and diversity, awesome. Care about making money, this is how.
Yeah.
So, nobody's lost money in, like, betting on more opportunity.
Yeah.
So, this is what She Starts is about. So, broadening. And what I love about the consistency in this new narrative, it's really about, like, removing barriers. It's not only about just removing barriers for founders who can't code, but it's for founders that are not the expected founder.
I was just thinking about, how long have you been at BlueChilli?
About 1.5 years.
No, she was there when we were recording.
I was going to say, because our show started in BlueChilli. We started in but it's about a year. It was around about June.
She came by and said hi.
I'm saying it was about June when we did our very first episode. Because I'd been here for about 3 months. So, this is like an anniversary almost of the show.
Happy anniversary, you guys.
If you look back on it, I'm pretty sure it's like around about early June that we dropped our first in our little shoebox with our Rode microphone balancing.
No,
thanks to Chris.
No, 100% Claudia was there. I went upstairs and said hi a couple times.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm just saying. Like, you know,
he's
for us,
reminiscing.
I'm reminiscing. Come on, man. Let me do it. I got a microphone.
Those are the lost episodes. We got to see if we can get those on here.
So what you've described now.
Yeah.
I had a very different perception to BlueChilli. I understood that the guys did invest in the companies that came through the door, so that I knew.
Yeah.
I did know that there was a program that helped a lot of the ladies and young girls even get going, but I was also of the opinion it was just a shared workspace that people could come and take a desk and draw off the energy. So that was something I think I was wrong, because it doesn't sound like that's part of the model anymore, or wasn't part of the model.
I mean, I wouldn't say wrong. I would say it's incomplete. The assumption.
Okay.
Yes, we do have a workspace. We have a beautiful building in York
I know.
Street.
I love your building.
Above the Cuban place, we also have offices in Melbourne and in Brisbane, and there's like sharing space for founders and stuff like that. So yes, and of course, yes, and we also are investors in all of the businesses. We're tech co-founders for the businesses, and we're also advisors. Like, one of the things that is really, really awesome is when you see not only the stories of the alumni coming out.
Yep.
But a lot of them, come back to the building, hang out there. You've seen on level 1, a lot of the people on that shared space are from the portfolio, which is pretty cool. And many times, like, whenever we've had new onboardings, we normally ask them to go or suggest that they go and talk to some of the founders, so they know how different BlueChilli was before. And also, when we have some kind of big wig coming in, we also suggest, go downstairs and you'll see the journey.
So GitHub was just purchased for a ridiculous sum of money.
7.5 billion
Yep.
US.
Billion with a B.
Billion with a
B
B.
with a billion.
And just seeing an interview with one of the founders in their first few months of putting it together, and they were garage shop.
They were all garage shops.
Garage shop
That's what you and I
guys.
did wrong, man. We're supposed to open. I've got a garage.
We can go
Let's
to
go
the
move
garage.
office there.
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah. Next time.
Fishy face.
But there's a $300,000 US role on the table for one of the guys, and he looked at it and had to make that hard decision to follow his dream or go after the money, short term versus long term.
Not a capitalist.
Yeah. Do you think that right now, considering where we are and sort of the state of affairs of technology development, GDPR and privacy, sort of the app is dead, long live the app, the sort of space that we're in, what is different now? What should people that are looking and just feel like they have an idea and a dream that they want to follow, what should they do to either capitalize on that or put it aside and just take the role or stay in their day job?
Jeez, that's a good question, man. That's a hard question.
I thought about it for a while.
Yeah. I love how this dynamic works of Aryeh will ask a question, then Brett will validate it either as a good question or not. I like this
Welcome
partnership.
to my world.
I was going to say, this is not an on-air thing.
Yeah.
This is like all day.
Is it like
And at night,
those chipmunks that solve crimes?
I can
I
show
love
you.
it.
I can show you the WhatsApp.
Yeah.
There's WhatsApp that's going the whole night as
It's
well.
the director's commentary to everything Aryeh says. I like
It
it. Okay, so your question. I don't know. One of the things that I always say is never take a job you can't afford. And that is one that you can't afford in terms of obviously money coming in and cash flow, but also are you be able to live with yourself if you don't do the thing that you want to do?
Does that extend? I was going to say, does that extend to the moral side of it as well? What about the job you can afford? But I don't use the Coke. I only sell it. Kind of mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, whenever it comes to, there's a couple ways of answering this question. The first one, and the thing that people think about the most in terms of those decisions, especially if you're not wide-eyed and 22 anymore, which I try to remember those days, and I'm I was a corporate Tressie in my little heels and walking around in shoulder pads up in Clarence Street working for an agency. So I never had that problem, but it's more around the fact that personal finances, especially if you have responsibilities and other goals, is a very personal thing, right?
Yep.
I will sit in front of people that are I want a career change. I want to do something that matters. I want to show up to work and know that I'm making an impact, and I want to be able to make decisions that I can count on and be part of the thing and a seat at the table. Great. But there's a cost of opportunity that comes with that, right? I can say that most of the people at BlueChilli could be making whatever they wanted literally anywhere else, right? Myself included. A lot of us have taken a big pay cut to work there because, one, it's a good trampoline. I have never met anybody who's left BlueChilli not done exactly what they wanted afterwards. It's a great place to build your personal brand and all of that, so all of this comes into account. But also, you get to get your hands dirty with things that matter to you. Whether that's going to be for 5 years or 6 months or 2 years, that's, a state of play that is a personal thing. And can you make those sacrifices around it?
That's quite cool.
Right?
Yep.
I say sacrifices. I think you've been in my house. I live in a nice apartment in Bronte.
Yeah.
My partner is a musician and he's in startup. Sacrifices is a very relative thing, right? We have chosen not to have children yet. We're talking about a dog. And so, yes, there's cost of opportunity. Maybe we could have a nicer, bigger apartment. Do we need that? So it's kind of where in your life you're at that moment.
You could get a cat. They're easier to look after.
I can't with cats. They come through the window and suck your soul at night. I can't with a cat.
Hashtag Shirobas.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's a lot of South American voodoo magic I just shared with you, but I can't with a cat.
Yeah. No.
We're all
Yeah.
cat people, just by the way. You might see the hair
Don't bring
all
them to
over
my
my
house.
shirt.
I'll go crazy.
I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the most successful company that's come out of BlueChilli? I mean,
that's a hard question because one is how are we
I'm talking
deciding?
metrics on performance, not necessarily feel good and mojo and all. I'm talking about here's a company, here's the journey, they did it, the investors fell over themselves, even if they've exited and they've just gone on to become, and more importantly, what was their next stage of that?
Awesome. Okay, let's see. I'm just wondering, like, everybody in that building, I'm probably the literal worst person to ask that, because there's a big side of the business that is just founder facing, and I'm like always like 2 degrees of separation, unless they're going through the boot camp.
It's
Even better, yeah.
If you don't, you don't. I mean, it's
No. But
you're ahead of people, not success.
I
right?
have a couple. Well, I think they go hand in hand, but one of the most recent ones, Tim from Benchon. So Benchon, are you familiar with Benchon at all? It's fine if you're not. But
No.
they leverage your current workforce. So, for example, you work with seasonal clients, or you work with clients through projects where you're on a retainer or something like that. And do you have lags of work or lulls of work? And you're like, well, but we have like awesome developers, or we have like a really great product manager. You can actually second them to a different company. So they recently took in, I think it's Westpac as a client, out of the top of my head. I could be wrong about what bank it is, but I'm pretty sure it's Westpac. And that was a huge contract. And Tim is just going from success to success. And with that came, investment. And it's one of those things that it would have worked on a granular level of like one by one. Let's figure out which other company, what's the next acquisition in terms of customers. But with Tim, it was just awesome in terms of like, let's have this huge validation with this huge client. So sometimes that like third promise may come as part of that first thing.
So one thing I was going to ask was, tips for people to how do you get in, and as a startup, I think one of the tips that I would make is don't just walk in with an idea on a napkin. If you can actually have a prototype, you can have something to show. If you can have even better a paying client that's actually shown and said, I believe in the value of this enough to give you my money and use it.
Yeah.
That's something that someone says, you know what? I see the value in that. I'll put money into it, as opposed to, I've got this huge idea. I'm going to make clouds float in the middle of, restaurants. You can have this feeling of being outside. Inside, like, great, but, where is it? So it's that show me the money idea. And I know that some accelerators and startup, investors would say, no, we'll take anybody. I think the more that you have to show to prove that it's there, the better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different solution for a different problem, I imagine. And I don't think all incubators and all accelerators are not created equal for a reason, because there's a great diversity of needs around there for founders. There's founders who can come in with like a napkin and be like, this is what I want to do, and blah blah blah. What's crazy is like I just came from we are right now in the middle of the Accelerate program and doing the boot camp, which is crazy times for BlueChilli. Whenever there's a boot camp, it looks like one of those like Middle Eastern Indiana Jones bazaars in the office. So I'm part of the advisory panel when we choose the startups and the founders coming through, but also I get to work with them as an EIR for the process of the bootcamp, which is awesome, because then I know who's coming in and how to resource it, which then kind of reverts to my day job. However, what happens almost every single time when I sit with a founder is they've started with the thing they want to build, or how awesome it's going to be when it's done, right? It's like, imagine Facebook. Okay, imagine it's for cats. And you're like, all right. That sounds like an expensive hobby at the moment.
So they can suck your soul at night.
That's right.
Can suck your soul at night. I'm not kidding. You guys, check your cat. I'm really scared of cats. Well, not really scared of cats. Just skeptical that they're not up to something evil. Yeah.
I think I've got the name of the show's episode. Does your cat suck your soul at night?
It probably does. So don't put it in people's...
But we catch you there.
Yeah. So I've completely forgot. Oh, so people are focused on the product.
Yep.
Which, not a bad place to start, but you have to dig a little bit deeper. So what
That's
I
the what, not the why, right?
Yeah, or like the who. How about the who? Right?
Yeah.
Head of people, the who.
Yeah.
I'm all about, like, whenever someone describes my job, we're like, if we can hug it, that's my job. Right? So it becomes about, like, who are you in service of? And I really like the idea of being in service of something. Nice. Both Sebastian and Luther Poyer, who's our CFO, are ex-Navy guys.
Whoa.
So there's a big culture of service in the company, which I really, really love. And I think people from the outside don't get to see it as much as I really wish they did, because that's a lot of our conversations. Like, who is this question in service at the end? Is it about, like, making BlueChilli better? Which, great. But if it's about making the founder better, it's really about the service of things. And in that same vein, founders should be able to articulate who they're in service of,
Yeah.
who they are, where to find them, and all that. And then that becomes a startup. So that almost never happens until they sit through a boot camp.
Yep.
We're got to the skinny end of the hour.
Skinny.
So I got to wrap it up. Claudia, where do we find more information? It's bluechilli.com.
BlueChilli.com.
Okay.
If you want to take a big leap and come and join us and join the crew, BlueChilli.com/join the crew.
Okay.
And we have a bunch of roles open.
Okay.
A lot of them are technical, which is really exciting. So pods that are actually building these startups, and you get to work with founders, and it's really awesome. But if you have a role in mind that you want to throw out there, we do have a link to, or like a little process for you to pitch a role. And I love to be surprised. Those come
Head
to me.
of cats.
You can, if you're head of cats, you have to go work somewhere else. Or maybe from our New Zealand
Pet
office.
discrimination. Pet discrimination.
Our chief,
So much for all inclusion,
Yeah.
right?
our our chief product officer is in New Zealand. She has a cat, so maybe we'll
Oh, there we
work
go.
from there.
There you
We'll
go.
apply for New
There you
Zealand.
go.
Yeah.
All right, so bluechilli.com. I
Yes.
think it's a case of more go there every now and then if this kind of resonates for you and see what's changing,
Yeah.
and then check out the
Subscribe
different.
to the newsletter. Follow us on Facebook.
Cool.
I'd head over to Blue Chili office over on is it York Street?
It's
we
York
have
Street.
a bunch of events
Yeah.
all
I
the
know.
time.
It's
Check.
it's an awesome building.
It's a great space, and go find Claudia. She's
Sounds good.
Find
awesome.
me. Yeah, I'm the lady with the shiny hair.
So thanks very much for coming
My
through.
pleasure.
And we'll definitely be speaking to you again soon. And it's our birthplace of the Techknowledgy show.
Don't
we were
bring
still
a
when we were
cat.
still a startup, right?
Yep.
We've evolved into a station platform. There's one of your successes.
Yeah. Happy anniversary, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
I love how special is this show.
Thank you. So until next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode of The Technology Show. Remember, for more episodes, hop onto eaglewavesradio.com.au, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Catch you next time.